Beer is the world's most consumed beverage after water. That creamy foam and smooth taste with a hint of bitterness mean that more than 200 million liters are consumed every day around the world. But have you ever wondered how it's produced? What makes it so unique and so irresistible? Well, today we'll travel to Mexico, home to one of the largest brewing plants on the planet, where more than 400,000 bottles of the popular and delicious Corona beer are produced every hour. So, get ready, because you're about to discover how the favorite drink of millions of people is mass-produced. Let's begin. Step 1. Barley selection and preparation. It all begins in the huge Mexican fields where malting barley, the fundamental grain for producing this type of beer, is cultivated. Corona uses a special variety of barley, exclusively selected for its high starch content and its ability to provide that smooth, refreshing flavor that has made it famous worldwide. These grains need approximately 4 months of growth under the intense sun to reach their perfect point of maturity when they acquire a deep golden tone and a firm texture that indicates they are ready for harvest. At this point, huge harvesting machines, assisted by tractors and large transport teams, cut, separate, and collect the grains with millimeter precision. In a single day, these machines can collect up to 150 tons of barley, enough to produce more than 1 million bottles of beer. Once harvested, the barley is loaded into huge trucks that transport it to the brewery, where the true transformation of these grains into one of the most popular beverages on the planet will begin. Step 2. Barley malting. With the barley now at the plant, one of the most important processes in beer production begins. Malting. In short, it's about waking up the grains so they release the enzymes and substances that will transform the barley starch into fermentable sugars, the basis of the alcohol and flavor we all recognize. First, the tons of barley pass through an industrial cleaning system, where sieves and powerful jets of air and pressurized water remove stones, dust, and any impurities from the field. Then, the grains are submerged in huge tanks with pure, cold water for several hours. This way, they absorb the necessary moisture and prepare to germinate. Once hydrated, the barley is spread out in gigantic germinators, which are climate-controlled structures where it will remain for 3 to 5 days at a controlled temperature. During this time, the grains begin to sprout small roots, the perfect sign that the enzymes are already active. Operators constantly monitor the humidity, temperature, and growth, because an excess or lack of germination could completely ruin the beer's flavor. This step is so delicate that even the humidity of the outside air can ruin an entire batch. When the germination is at its exact point, it's time to stop it. The now called green malt is moved to large drying ovens, where hot air currents remove all the moisture and fix the aromatic compounds that will give Corona its smooth, fresh flavor with a slight toasted note. Now ready and perfectly dry, it's time to unlock its full potential. Step 3. Malt grinding. With the malt now dry and aromatic, it's time to transform it into the base of a real beer. The tons of malt are poured into large metal hoppers, from which they move to powerful industrial grinders. These special grinders are equipped with high-precision steel rollers that don't crush the grain completely, but break it in a controlled way to expose its interior. A single grinder at the plant can process more than 20 tons of malt every hour, a truly impressive number. The goal is to obtain a mixture called grist, composed of fine particles and intact husks, which are essential for subsequent filtering. As the mills work, operators exhaustively supervise the fineness of the grind, as a grain that's too fine could clog the filters, while one that's too coarse would not release all its sugars, directly affecting the final flavor. This point is critical, as it determines a large part of the future beer's performance and quality. Once ground and verified, the malt continues its journey on conveyor belts to the huge mashing tubs. There, the tons of grain are mixed with hot water, releasing all their natural sugars and flavors to create the wort, a sweet and aromatic liquid that will be the base of the beer. And with that, Corona is about to leave its solid state behind to be transformed into a liquid full of flavor. Step 4. Boiling and hopping. With the wort ready, it's time to subject it to an intense boiling process to concentrate the flavors, sterilize it, and prepare it to receive one of the most important ingredients of any beer: hops. The wort is pumped into huge stainless steel kettles, where it boils at temperatures up to 100 degrees Celsius for about an hour. This heat not only eliminates any unwanted bacteria or microorganisms, but also helps the sugars and compounds from the grain fully integrate. During the boil, the master brewers carefully add hops, a special plant responsible for that characteristic bitter and fresh touch that defines beer. Hops don't just add flavor, they are also a powerful natural antibacterial agent that allows the beer to stay as fresh as new for up to more than 6 months. The exact amount and moment the hops are added are calculated to the millimeter, as this largely determines the final drink's flavor and aroma. The aroma coming from the kettles is so intense, it can be detected even more than 300 meters from the plant. Once the boiling is finished, the hot wort goes through a rapid cooling system where the liquid loses temperature in just a few seconds to prevent oxidation and be ready for its next stage. Step 5. Fermentation. All the liquid is transferred to enormous stainless steel fermentation tanks with a capacity for thousands of liters. There it is, left to rest, and the master brewers carefully add one of the most important ingredients of beer: yeast. This microorganism literally feeds on the sugars in the wort, naturally transforming kilograms of sugar into the most distinctive component of any beer: alcohol. But that's not all. During fermentation, the yeast also naturally produces carbon dioxide, creating the first bubbles that will give the beer life. In the case of Corona, fermentation lasts for about 7 days at controlled temperatures, which allows for that smooth, refreshing profile that has made it famous worldwide. During this time, the yeast works tirelessly, while sensors and automated systems monitor the liquid's temperature, pressure, and quality. In addition, technicians perform constant tastings and analyses to ensure that the process is moving forward flawlessly. At the end, the young beer already contains alcohol, but it still needs to mature and polish the final details of its flavor before moving on to the next phase. Step 6. Maturation and filtering. With fermentation complete, the beer is transferred to special maturation tanks, where it will rest for several days to stabilize its flavor and reach its perfect point. The extreme cold used here is no coincidence. At -1 degree Celsius, the beer clarifies naturally without altering its flavor. In this controlled environment, suspended particles settle at the bottom, leaving the liquid clean and pure. A single maturation tank at the plant can hold enough beer to fill more than 1 million bottles, allowing for a truly impressive scale of production. Before the final filtering, the beer is subjected to a perfectly controlled carbonation process to achieve the exact level of fizz. Although some of the carbon dioxide was already generated naturally during fermentation, at this stage, the necessary amount is precisely adjusted to achieve perfect freshness and effervescence. Enormous machines inject the gas uniformly under pressure, ensuring that bubbly touch that, upon uncapping the bottle, releases a creamy foam and the characteristic fizzle we all associate with a freshly served Corona. Once mature and carbonated, the thousands of liters pass through a final filtering system where any remaining sediments or yeast are removed, leaving the beer bright, cold, and ready for consumption. Step 7. Bottling and distribution. We've reached one of the most impressive moments of the process: bottling the beer and sending it out to the world. The golden liquid travels from the tanks to completely automated bottling lines, capable of filling and sealing up to 400,000 bottles per hour. Each glass bottle first passes through a high-pressure cleaning and sterilization system, removing any impurities or bacteria. Immediately afterward, the filling machines dispense the beer with millimeter precision, preventing oxygen from entering and ensuring that its fresh flavor remains intact. In seconds, the bottles receive the classic golden crown cap and are dressed with the Corona label, looking exactly as you see them in the supermarket. In parallel, huge machines and operators pack the bottles into sturdy cardboard boxes, designed to withstand journeys of thousands of kilometers. From here, the loaded pallets are moved to the loading docks, where refrigerated trucks and containers depart for distributors and points of sale in more than 180 countries. Besides Mexico, Corona is one of the best-selling beers in the United States, Spain, and Australia, proof that its quality has conquered palates across the planet. And so, in just a few days, that beer, which began as a handful of barley grains, ends up in the hands of millions of people, ready to be enjoyed ice-cold under the sun. To finish, tell us, did you imagine this entire process? What's your favorite beer? Leave us your answer in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to not miss the next factory tour.